Almost HFY channel presents Aya and Rob in their newseries, a romantic alien-human HFY drama, supported by Nordic Artisan Soaps. Welcome to Time and Vampires, a sequel of the Folding Vampire series. Follow Rob, Aya, and Dork on a romantic adventure in the void.
This is not your average vampire tale. It's not about fangs and alleyways, tortured immortals, or castles with questionable plumbing. This is the aftermath, the generation that came next. Aya is the daughter of Alara and Jack, and if you've heard their story, well, you probably needed a nap and a blood bag afterwards. Alara, born from a long lineage of accidents, is what happens when a time-traveling entity gets bitten by a vampire in what was probably self-defense. The result? Generations of chaos. Some descendants vanished into thin air. Some lost their minds. Some, like Alara's mother, held it together just enough to bear a daughter who didn't explode on contact with the timeline. That daughter was Alara. She lived because of her regenerative vampiric abilities and the occasional, not-so-optional blood transfusion. She didn't bite people, at least not for food. Her kind survived on synth blood, donor bags, or the occasional rat. And when she folded space, which she did more often than was considered sane, she nearly died every single time. Folding cargo across dimensions tends to burn through your hemoglobin. Turns out, if she tries to fold just objects with people in them, bumf, gone. And she gets a nosebleed. If she folds herself together with people and things she cares about, she nearly dies as she has to focus on keeping things together. Jack helped her stay alive, sometimes with his own blood, sometimes with love, sometimes with gallows humor and adrenaline-fueled decisions. Somewhere along the way, their chaotic love story ripped a hole in the universe and created something new. A sentient lizard. Don't ask. This lizard bonded with their daughter, Aya for short, glowing with her like it recognized something buried in her blood. Second-gen timeline splicing, maybe. No one knows for sure. Now Aya has that glow inside that uses up her neurotransmitters. Phased entity, cosmic twin? Now Aya is 20, and like her mother, she's something not entirely definable. She has Alira's resilience, her curiosity, her deep, unspeakable need. But she lacks the ability to synthesize enough key neurotransmitters. Without syntocin, a synthetic blend of dopamine, oxytocin, and a few classified compounds, she becomes unstable, emotionally, physically, sexually. Alara once joked that she helped produce oxytocin in others manually. It wasn't exactly a joke. Aya's situation is worse. So she travels with a stash of syntocin and synth blood, just in case, always. She's now a medic, emergency pilot, and fold fixer aboard the Traveler, a hyperspace-capable freighter, / miracle in progress. Her companions, Rob, the perpetually overworked systems engineer, and walking encyclopedia of bad decisions. Dork, the ship's AI, and Bobo, a red-furred cat with a flair for dramatic gift delivery and the occasional urge to desecrate Roy's socks. Rob knows about the vampirism, the folds, the blood, everything except the syntocin. They've danced around each other for years, close, intense, and just this side of crossing a line. But that's about to change. Because this isn't just a sequel. It's a story about what happens after the myths fade. When the daughter of a folding vampire and her AI-sabotaged crew are stuck in a universe that doesn't care how weird things get. Where intimacy is survival And satire is a coping mechanism. Ready? Good. Buckle up. Traveler crew quarters. Ship time 4:59. Rob lay on his side, blanket tangled at his waist, heat still humming behind his ribs. Aya was tucked behind him, one hand resting against his spine, like she'd drifted into port and anchored there. He wasn't sure how long they'd been like this. She needed closeness, but distant, absent at times, not physical, but always flirty. Her breath was steady, too steady, not performative, not pretending, sleep soft. He started to close his eyes. And then he felt it, a warm press at the side of his neck, breath, then lips, then the slow needle prick pressure of fangs breaking skin. Not violent, not hungry. It felt almost like a kiss, like muscle memory. Her hand gripped his waist, her body curled tighter against his back. She made a low sound, a murmur, then whispered something in a language he didn't know. And just like that, she was asleep again. Rob didn't move. His pulse had jumped, but not from fear. The bite didn't hurt. It wasn't even deep. But something else had shifted, like a circuit completing, a low-frequency echo passing between them. He let the air move through his lungs slowly. Was it instinct, a glitch in her biology, or had some part of her recognized him before the rest caught up? Whatever it wasn't accidental. It felt old, like a ritual half-remembered. Her body stayed pressed to his, one leg folded behind his knees. And though her breath never changed, his entire body was listening, waiting, pants full of heat. Wondering what had just begun. Next generation, Redulus Station, ETA 62 hours, give or take a gremlin. Hyperspace pulsed like a heartbeat, steady, ghost-like, barely audible under the hull, comforting, lulling. Then something stuttered, a lurch, not a shift, a snap, like the universe changed its mind. The lights flickered. Rob barely had time to shout before everything went sideways. Aya yelped as gravity inverted. Her boots left the deck. A moment later, her back slammed into an overhead pipe with a metallic clang. She twisted, caught between a coolant conduit and a ceiling brace, arms flailing, legs folded like a broken puppet. Her braid hung downward into nothing. Rob ricocheted off the opposite wall, bounced off a terminal, and ended up tumbling mid-air like laundry in a zero-G dryer. Sparks danced from the panels, then quiet. Zero gravity. Dork, why the fuck am I upside down and stuck in the ceiling?
Gravity shear. Auxiliary stabilizers offline. Also hello.
Rob spun once, twice. Caught sight of Aya twisted above him, legs tangled in cabling like a marionette mid-seizure. She was trying to shift without ripping half the paneling loose. "Don't move," he called, voice steadier than he felt.
Oh, sure. I'll just float elegantly out of the fucking ceiling.
He pushed off a wall brace, aiming upward, too fast. He overshot, booted off the junction box, and collided with her, shoulder first. They both grunted. He grabbed instinctively, hands scrambling for purchase. One arm caught her waist, the other landed higher. His palm was suddenly, undeniably full of her left breast, warm, soft, pressed firm against his spread fingers. A moment held. If you wanted to cop a feel, you could have just asked. Rob's mouth opened, closed. His brain threw up a single coherent thought. Socks. like reaching blindly into a drawer and grabbing the wrong fabric. Except instead of socks, it was Aya, all of Aya, in his hand.
I'll make sure to ask next time.
He slowly, carefully adjusted his grip and braced her under the ribs instead. She raised an eyebrow, and if he didn't know better, he'd swear she looked almost disappointed. He moved his hand, but didn't say a word. Around them, the traveler creaked, a low metal groan like the ship was trying to hold in a laugh.
Preliminary analysis. White hole traversal. No spatial bearings. We are nowhere.
Dork's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. It didn't echo, it just existed, layered over the dead hum of power loss.
Vector collapse confirmed. Funnel traversal completed.
What funnel? What the hell happened?
A white hole structure. Anomalous. Possibly artificial. Ejected us at zero relative velocity. No stars, no coordinate lock. Spatial bearings. Undefined.
Rob's arms tensed around Aya. Her leg shifted, bumping his thigh. Neither mentioned it.
So what, you're saying we got spat out of the universe like bad sushi?
All three drifted silent for a breath. Then a faint, ghostly shimmer flickered across the outer viewport. A thin, luminous ring suspended in the dark. It looked almost like the afterimage of a tunnel mouth still fading from sight.
Where are all stars? It's all black and that ring structure.
Is that where we came out?
Affirmative. That is the exit node. The funnel is destabilized. There is no inbound force. You are adrift in a transient subdomain. No conventional bearings, no pull. This space will not hold you together for long.
Engines? No gravity.
Ion drive is offline. Warp core is in protective shutdown. Plasma fields unstable.
So we're stuck.
Precisely. Local physics remain intact, but cohesion is tenuous. Space here rejects structure.
Meaning?
Your molecules are still friends, but they're feeling lonely.
Aya's brow furrowed. Rob glanced at her, then at the viewport. The ghost ring was shrinking or fading. Or maybe both.
How far out are we?
At current velocity and mass, reaching the exit node will require approximately 612 years.
Oh good, I was worried we'd have to wait.
Even I'm dead by then. And vampires are stubborn.
Silence again, not peaceful, but vacant, like the ship itself was holding its breath.
Help me down before I start tearing things.
Rob nodded, then blinked, remembered he was still half tangled in her. He shifted, trying not to grab something else he'd regret or enjoy too much. She gave him a crooked smile as he braced and gently pulled her loose. They drifted chest to chest, hair floating like seaweed in still water. Aya wiggled in his arms with an irritated grunt, one knee brushing his hip. Then her boot tapped a conduit and spun them both half sideways. She smiled slightly, and her eyes glimmered.
We can't stay up here forever. And if you keep grabbing my breasts, I will break your fingers if you don't ask first.
Rob winced, tried to adjust his grip, ended up bracing against the overhead piping just above her shoulder. They drifted a moment, her face inches from his, breath sinking out of sheer proximity.
Okay, new plan. I let go and you kick off the bulkhead. Then I'll follow.
Sure, ladies first.
She coiled her legs and launched. Her boot thudded against the conduit with a hollow clang, and she glided backward through the corridor in a slow spin, catching a wall brace with one hand, like she'd done it 100 times. Rob followed, far less graceful, bumped the ceiling, twisted midair, and caught himself with both feet braced wide, like a clumsy action figure. They regrouped at the access shaft, a narrow crawl space barely wide enough for one person and definitely not built for dignity.
Gravity control module's down there. Can you reach it while I look at the diagnostics?
Yeah, between the engine bay and the coolant array. I'll squeeze in. You better not stare.
I'll just enjoy the sound of your complaining.
She rolled her eyes and dropped into the shaft feet first, grunting as her boots scraped metal. Then she twisted and vanished.
It smells like burnt toast and regret in here. Who designed this with cables in the floor, I swear?
Rob waited, floating half a meter above the hatch, listening to her muffled swearing echo up from the crawl space. A minute passed, punctuated by the sound of her boots scraping metal.
Found it. Coolant pipe crushed a control panel. I can't move it. Turns out even vampire strength is useless without leverage.
Rob sighed and kicked off toward the hatch. He caught the edge, swung himself in, and immediately felt the temperature climb.
Where are you? Oh, that pipe's not going anywhere, is it? Need some extra muscle or just better leverage?
Honestly, both. Get in here, but don't get stuck too.
The shaft was tight, hot, shadows crawling up the walls, wires crowding every surface. Rob shimmied in, his shoulder brushing hers. Her back arched, one arm wedged awkwardly overhead, braid plastered to her neck by sweat.
Anchor there. Grab my waist. Like last time. I liked last time. On 3, we pull.
He reached forward, but in the cramped dark, his hand slid over her ribs and landed where it shouldn't. Soft, warm, perfectly, absurdly wrong.
Seriously, this is getting interesting. I think you like my breasts.
Her voice was low, dangerous, but a small twitch flickered at the corner of her mouth. Her fangs showed, not quite threatening, more a warning label on a live wire.
You could have at least bought me dinner first.
It was that or miss completely and break your ribs, but it did not feel wrong.
Then pull harder. You might see more of them later.
He braced his boots on the conduit, feeling heat soak into his calves. With a count under his breath, he yanked. Something gave, not the pipe, but their balance. Her elbow slipped, his foot lost purchase. They tumbled sideways, momentum spinning them into each other. Chest, limbs, lips colliding, breath mingling. For a moment, the shaft held only tangled bodies and the stunned hush that follows a car crash. Her mouth was on his, not gentle, not planned, just the hot static of two people realizing, too late, there's no escape hatch for awkward. Rob froze, heart pounding. Aya didn't move, just blinked, then leaned back far enough for both of them to breathe.
Well, that was not planned, but the universe seemed to try to bring us closer.
Her voice was rough, her eyes searching his for a reaction. Neither of them said more. After a long second, she smirked, nudged him with her knee, and wriggled free, leaving a trail of hair across his jaw.
Next time I'll take the top off before you grope me.
I'm not used to this.
Touch. Still short circuits me. So maybe don't run just yet. I need time. And more hands-on, I guess.
Rob just lay there, listening to his pulse hammer in his ears, grinning like an idiot in the dark. Aya hovered near the ceiling, upside down, legs bent, hair fanned in 0G. Rob braced below with one hand on the breaker, caught her eye, and nodded.
Ready?
Hit it.
We'll get gravity back. It'll hurt.
Aya twisted midair and grinned, arms flared for balance.
So catch me, will you?
One condition. Don't crush me.
No promises.
He flipped the switch. Gravity slammed down like a pissed-off god. Aya dropped. Not fell. dropped straight out of the air, 100 and something pounds of vampire woman, hair flying, elbows sharp, knees tucked, aimed square for Rob's outstretched arms. For a split second, time stretched. Rob saw only a blur of skin, the flash of her ears, the wild arc of her body barreling toward him. He caught her, sort of. Mostly, he just braced and let physics do its worst. She crashed into him. Hard. An explosion of curves, limbs, and tangled hair. Her thigh slammed across his hip, her rib cage against his chest, one arm flinging around his neck. In the chaos, her backstrap snapped. 2 bare breasts landed, square and unmissable, across his face. He could taste her skin. Not just skin, contact, mouthful. One breast caught hard against his lips, soft and warm and alive, her body twisting just enough to shove it there as she latched onto him instinctively, fingers clutching his shoulders to keep from hitting. Her breath hitched, so did his. Neither moved. It wasn't lewd. It was overwhelming. Heat, softness, the sharp snap of a broken strap, the scent of her skin. Citrus, cinnamon, and static. Rob's brain didn't freeze. It blue-screened. His whole body shuddered, caught in the sensory onslaught, the impossible physics of catching a human torpedo, all muscle, all softness, all Aya, everywhere at once. Then, for the briefest, most embarrassing second, he detonated, erupted in his pants. No friction, no warning, just too much of her, too fast, too close. Aya felt it. He knew she did, but she still didn't let go. Her chest rose once, then again. Her eyes were huge now, not from shock, but from something closer to wonder or panic. Without a word, she peeled off what was left of her top and tossed it aside. Her ears glowed, pupils blown, her breath just as shaky as his. She shifted, finally, sliding sideways, not ashamed, just lost and out of words. Her ears glowed hot. Her hands shook. She met his eyes like she was trying to recompile reality, one heartbeat behind it. Rob lay there, dazed, trying to remember which way was up. She knelt beside him, hands shaking. She touched his cheek gently with shaking fingers, trying to reach something she did not know existed. Was this love or desire?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I really messed up.
She smiled, not mocking, just a little too even. For a heartbeat, she stood still, chest bare, emotions scrambled, the aftershocks of contact rippling under her skin. Her hands hovered, the ache of wanting to feel something real. She blinked, lashes trembling, then looked at Rob as if he'd handed her both a rescue and a dare.
Nope, just too much of me, and hormones. Not your fault. You caught me. I have been dead without you. Right there, and maybe.
She trailed off, jaw flexing like she almost bit back more. Then, bracing herself, her body taut with a longing she barely knew how to wear, she stepped back, ears still glowing.
We need to talk. I'll go get a new top. See you in the galley.
She stood, shoulders set a bit too straight, like composure worn instead of felt. For a breath, she lingered. Something shifted behind her eyes, like a line she almost said, but didn't trust herself with. Then she turned, bare shoulders catching the light, ears still glowing, and walked out. Smirk aimed forward like a shield she didn't quite believe in. Rob, still on the floor, covered his face with both hands and groaned.
I need a cool shower or a priest.
He heard her footsteps fade down the corridor. Uneven, like she wasn't sure if she wanted to slow down or run. Rob sat there a moment longer. Then stood, still flushed, and went to his quarters for a shower. Aya was a paradox. First heat, then teeth, now silence. He could feel the static of her through the bond. Twitchy, uncertain, still close, even rooms away.
Plum Elegance Floral by Nordic Artisan Soaps, not perfect, handmade. Real soap with no weird ingredients, kind to you and nature. Creative Chaos by Nordic Artisan Soaps, not perfect, handmade. Real soap with no weird ingredients, kind to hands and skin.